Or the younger kids, are they receptive to this British repertoire? Have they most often performed it before? I know Holst obviously is programmed very often in the United States, but are you working with new music for them primarily, or is this old works?
Generally, the music is familiar to some and new to others. I think what is different, and the feedback that I'm getting as a conductor, is that what they're really enjoying here is that it's a British conductor bringing that Britishness to the original British material. And I spend a lot of time talking to them about what this music means and how one should think of it, not necessarily as notes and tunes, but think of them as melodies. Because most of this particular music was coming from folk song and traditional elements, so they're very, very lyrical, even to the point of being songs without words. So they should think of it as a lyrical melody, and I try and paint pictures so that they can express themselves even more. And I keep saying to these community bands, what I want you to do is go to the edge. Go to the edge of performance, because a lot of community bands, they play in the middle because it's very safe, and some of the semi-pro orchestras do the same. That kind of like the mezzo forte, and just slightly either side of it seems to be the dynamic variation. Whereas if you really put a lot of effort into it and you create a wider dynamic scope, you're creating more interest. But that means working a little bit harder, and it's a matter of taking the information that's on the page and taking it to the edge. So if it's asking for the accents and it's asking for smooth lines and lyrical shapes, then I try and pull those out and explain to them how to do that. It's more about the music and the shape than actually the notation, because I think by the time I stand in front of these bands, I get to do the good stuff, because the poor resident conductor has been chasing the notes and putting it all together, and I come in and put the icing on the cake.
You have the easiest job and yet also the hardest job, it seems like.
I have the fun job.
Yeah.
This is the trio is nice and melodic. Think of it, we've been at the battle, right? And there's a lull in the battle. Everybody's knackered. Is that an American word? Knackered. Knackered's connected. No, tired. Everybody's tired. Okay? Everybody's tired, and they're going to have a little rest. Right? And they're thinking about their loved ones at home. A bit like me, really. So far from home. So many strange people. So much music. And so little time. Okay? But, so what we need to do is, I want you to paint the picture now. Right? So these guys are now resting, and we're going to create that. We're going to have this little love moment when they do a little crescendo. Is that a good picture?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. See? It's great, isn't it? I love that. Good. Okay. It's the right brain in the stuff. The Holst E-flat Suite was written 1911 for the Royal Military School of Music. The Royal Military School of Music is in Twickenham, which is not a million miles away from where Holst was. Holst was resident at the St Paul's School for Girls, which is near Hammersmith. And I used to live in Putney, which is Putney Bridge, very close to the River Thames. I could walk across the River Thames, turn left, walk down the river, gorgeous walk by the way, past Fulham Football Club, that's football as in soccer by the way, and I'm a great fan of Fulham, go Fulham, okay, and then go a little bit further and you come to a pub. It's a public house of course, and it's called the Blue Lagoon. What a name, right? Now, what has this got to do with Holst? It's got everything to do with Holst, because that's where Holst went to have a beer. And whilst Holst was sat there having his beer, he could see, looking looking right out of the pub, he could see Hammersmith Bridge. And he wrote one of the most incredibly gorgeous pieces of music, and very difficult, to be honest, for the concert band. He wrote an original overture called Hammersmith. So that gives you an idea of where he was and what he was doing. But going back to the Suite in E flat, he wrote that as in 3 movements, and he finishes with a march, which is quintessentially a British style concert march, but it has thematic material which is taken from English folk song. The melody on the first movement is based in English folk song writing, so it's kind of like an 8-bar song. And what he does, he plays with it, he kind of like inverts it, and then he takes it a little bit into the minor key, and it changes in style, and it becomes kind of funereal in a way. And the middle movement, the chaconne, is a really gorgeous melodic line. So he's writing all this wonderful material, and he was also very adept at this particular time for writing in terms of orchestration. He was very advanced in his thinking of how the military band should be scored. And it's actually a wonderful piece of music that has stood the test of time, and I would certainly recommend that you play it to your audience.
I'm gonna use that whole introduction and play that. That was great. So
Holst was